late arrivers, and so for whom we don't have pictures. So Linda,
Linda, stand up.
so people know, because otherwise you won't see her. And then Zach and Nate.
There is a picture of Nate, but you will
Yeah,
not recognize him.
well, it's before he had the beard.
Yeah, it's a long
And
Actually, I
then
think there's a picture of you too. That
David
really
and Mary Erickson, their pictures came too late to qualify. Plus,
So you have to stand up.
yes, so people know. Plus, the picture of David was so horrible. And the other thing we need to say before we start is that
Bob and Joan.
that's right, Bob and Joan weren't they're not.
Yeah, and I want you to know. I want you to know that I had great photos of both of you, but I didn't know you were coming until tonight.
We're party
It's your daughter's fault because our invitation said anybody in the family who wants to come, just tell them. Okay.
So, the other thing what we're aware of, besides what an impact you've all had on our lives, is that we did not invent the 50th anniversary. Bob and Joan Conchafter invented it 11 years ago. David and Mary invented it, what, 2 years ago? And,
Lyle and Gladys.
Lyle and Gladys.
yeah, well, that's 107 years, I think.
Yep, that's right.
We were privileged to be part of their 50th anniversary event.
Right.
This is a kind of cute story. So they wanted to have a service, and I'm kind of the family chaplain, so we decided to have a service on Sunday to bless their first 50 years and push them on to the next. And their 9 grandchildren all play instruments, so we thought the 9 grandchildren then could all play their instruments at that service on Sunday. So I gathered with the children, and we determined the only song they all knew in common, this was September, Labor Day weekend, the only song they all knew on their instruments was "O Come All Ye Faithful." So we worked that into the homily. It was a good time. Now we're grateful for Greg. Greg is the extraordinary interviewer. He has interviewed celebrities even before us. I think he's now going to interview Phil Donahue, who invented interviews. And we're grateful to Greg and Cindy. Where's Cindy? Oh, there you are. Because they've made John Fuchs available, who's making a videotape of this. It will, of course, be available on YouTube, but not until they attach to it the last sequence, which is going to be Michael O'Prey removing stitches from Aunt Gladys.
Sure. Tomorrow.
Right.
That will be videotaped and available. Now,
What are the stitches?
partly because we've reached senility some time ago, and partly because our story is so complex, we actually have scripts. Now, the reason for this is we were hoping to keep Greg more or less on script because
We've requested deviation from the script.
yes, well, I've heard that might
Not
happen.
going to happen.
But we're going to start now. And
Okay.
when we were having our memories of our first 50 years, we realized we didn't exactly remember everything the same way. And that reminded us of this scene from Gigi.
Gigi.
Turn it up.
Working on it.
I remember it well, that dazzling April moon. There was none that night, and the month was June. That's right. That's right. It warms my heart to know that you remember still the way you do. yes, I remember it well. How often I've thought of that Friday
Monday
night when we had our last rendezvous, and somehow I foolishly wondered if you might, by some chance, be thinking of it too. That carriage ride,
you walked me home.
you lost the glove.
I lost a comb.
Yes, I remember it well. That brilliant sky,
We had some rain
those Russian songs.
from sunny Spain.
Yes, I remember it well. You wore a gown of gold.
I was all in blue.
Am I getting old?
Oh no, not you. How strong you were, how young and gay, a prince of love in every way.
Yes. I remember it well.
Right. Sound effects. There you go.
Dennis, Lynette, just how well do you two remember your 50 years of marriage? And the more than 5 years of fooling around before marriage?
I remember well the fooling around, especially in a field near Bustye, August 26th, 1959.
I certainly don't remember that at all. The only thing I remember about Bustye, and you forgot to put that in, Bustye, is that I used to go to the slaughterhouse with my daddy out there.
Wait a minute, hold it. We have impressionable youngsters, I sat with them, here who certainly don't want to think about their grandparents fooling around at all, before or after marriage. In a field? Dennis, see if you can stop thinking about sex and tell us how you two actually met.
Well, I do remember it well. Junior High, Lincoln Junior High. We were there today, some of us. Mrs. Slake's homeroom. Lunchtime. Lynn sitting at the last seat in the middle row, eating a tuna sandwich. So sensually.
Dennis!
Lynn was the reporter for Lincoln Junior High, and there was a weekly column in the local Post-Journal that she wrote, telling all the news. And Mrs. Sleggs was the journalism lady, and I used to work for her mother, doing housework. And so I often dropped in at noon, and I would come to have a peek at that oh so cute girl eating those tuna sandwiches.
Oh, yeah.
We need that
Hope it's
cute
not too loud.
picture. Okay.
I found my freedom on the very hill.
Now, you gotta imagine, because I had no recollection at all that I knew this man in junior high. None. And for years, I said I had no recollection of him. And then we're home to Jamestown once, and my daddy says, it's time to get your stuff out of the attic. We're either gonna toss it or you have to bring it home. We're in California. I take all 45 records, including Blueberry Hill, and my diary and a bunch of other stuff. And I get home, and the only room in the house that plays 45 records is Mark's. So I'm in Mark's bedroom.
That's actually not how it happened. I went to the store and bought you a phonograph player.
Oh, okay.
I went and
so
bought
I
you a
have
phonograph
this.
player.
I have
Mark,
this.
maybe you don't get it, not on the script.
Yeah.
That's all right. That's okay. That's okay. So I'm laying on his bed, you know, like a teenager, your feet up against the wall, and I'm listening to these 45 records, and I'm reading my diary. And all of a sudden, I start laughing and screaming, and everybody comes running into Mark's room. And I can still quote the diary from that day. It said, almost got thrown out of the library today. Denny O'Prey threw a book at me. So I guess I knew this guy.
You didn't remember me, but I remembered you. You were so cute. And, well, look at this, so sexy. And I was so shy, but she used to come into the debate club and kind of vamp me and just make me so, yeah, like that. Big blush.
Were you dating them?
No, I was very much dating Ronnie Simpson. He was a senior. That was really thrilling.
Oh, there's Ronnie.
Yeah. Wasn't I cute then?
Oh my God.
Were you like involved? I mean,
that house?
Never
Remember the
mind
house?
that
Yeah.
stuff. Dennis didn't ask me out until the end of his senior year. He asked me to go to the prom. So wonderful, and I said yes. And then the very next day, he said, how about we go up to Buffalo to Melody Fair? Just wonderful. So we went to Buffalo the week before the prom, and not in the script, but I should have known then that when you run out of gas on the way home from Buffalo, the same thing can happen to you when you're going to your 50th wedding anniversary. You're later than everybody else.
so?
Well, so we went to the prom, and in the very last dance, I just planted a gentle kiss so purely on her cheek. And then we went for a drive after the prom, you know, like kids did. And then all heaven broke loose. And we knew immediately that we loved each other, and we knew immediately we were going to be together forever.
Oh, I remember it well.
I remember it well. That was really very nice. And she really liked to kiss.
Oh, Johnny Mathis. We fell in love to Johnny Mathis.
Here are some of our high school friends.
No, first are the people who loved us. Well, no, this is high school, okay. There's Dick, there's Dick.
Stariarski.
Dennis liked her a lot.
This could have been your mother, kids. This is Karen Reagan. Oh, I had such a crush on her.
Now, family of origin. This is my sister. We stop on my sister.
Yeah, okay, they saw it.
Back up. All right. If you can't back up, that's okay. But I'm going to tell you about my sister and I. My sister and I, like all siblings, loved each other fiercely, fought fiercely, and we have lots of stories together.
You had such a cute overbite. Look
I
at
still
that.
do.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. So my sister, the really very special part of my sister is that she's 6 years older than I am. She always took care of me when my mother was working from the time I was little through junior high. And when I was in junior high and she had already graduated from high school, she went to work, and every payday, this wonderful person and I went shopping. And she would spend part of her brand new paycheck buying me a new outfit. It was just spectacular. I really thought about my sister when I was growing up as if she were my mother. Except for the times, of course, when because she was in high school and I was still in grade school then, remember? And she wanted to have friends over. So it was like, come on, Lynn, we got to pick up the house. We got to clean the kitchen floor. We got to do the dishes. We got to do this. And who in grade school wants to do the dishes and pick up so she can have some stupid boy come over and sit in the living room and kiss her all the time? So actually we had a great thing going on where I would actually get in her bedroom because it had a door that looked out into the living room. And then I would sit at the end of the bed and I would look, and pretty soon the guy would pay me $0.25 to move to the other end of the bed. And then they'd go to the bathroom, and and I made a lot of money doing that. And poor Tanya, she just put up with it. But the really, the fighting thing and the other thing about it. So I'm finally in love with this man, and Ronnie Simpson is gone. I have said goodbye to that man, but he's not saying goodbye to me, so he keeps following us around and sitting down at dining room tables with us. And my sister invites him to Sunday dinner the same time I invite Dennis to meet the family for the first time. Great sister I got there.
You were really mad.
I was really mad.
Let it roll.
Let it roll, son.
There's Lynn's mom and dad. Oh.
Terry and great-grandma.
Grandma.
Tanya again with Daddy and me. Denny and Terry. Oh, stop please. So here's one of my other stories. I don't know, a lot of you knew me in high school and junior high, and I was really a little goody two-shoes. That wasn't really very nice. And then I went to college, and those are my roommates. And one night, in the middle of the night, and then we had to go reenact it so we could have a picture, we climbed into that fraternity house window, walked down their row of fraternity pictures, took one off the wall, took it home, hid it in the ceiling above our bedroom, and when it was discovered, our dean, I went to a girls' school connected to the boys' school, our dean said, when we find that picture, those girls are getting expelled. I was scared to death. And I called Daddy and I said, I'm in real trouble. We got to give this picture back, and when we do, I'm going to be expelled. And my daddy said, it's about time. You needed fun in your life.
Well, Lynette, I mean, you had a hellion streak here. Tell me about the time you stole Dennis's car at college and drove off to New York with your friends.
Well, I did do that, but enough of it. Let's get on and look at the wedding. Wedding.
What? You said you...
Oh, no, you said Dennis. Your turn.
Dennis.
Oh, we got this so well rehearsed.
You have a line here.
I think
Top of page 4.
I think she took it.
No, you can't skip the engagement.
She blew through.
I remember
She blew through a couple of lines.
I remember getting engaged.
I reacted to it well.
Yeah, you did well.
Yeah, it was Good Friday. I'm a very religious person. And it was Good Friday, and my dad had let me... It was a Good Friday. We were spooning on the couch in her apartment here in Jamestown, and my dad had lent me $600, and I bought a diamond engagement ring, and I asked her if she wanted to marry me, and she said no.
I remember it well.
Yeah.
No, I did not say no. I said yes. Engagement photo, please.
I pushed the button, give it a second.
Okay. While the engagement photo is coming up, so I did say yes, and I ran down to the market. I am so excited. I am finally engaged. I've been going with this guy for 6 years now, and he finally asks me to marry him. So I go down to the market. My dad looked at me in all seriousness and said, "Are you sure?" I just couldn't believe after 6 years he wanted to know if I was sure. So I did say yes, of course.
It's adorable.
That's my mom and dad.
Now we're at the wedding. We skipped a couple lines. It's okay.
Oh,
It's all right.
Two mothers wondering what happened.
Terry was the best man. My mommy and daddy. Tanya.
There's Tanya.
My roommates are
There's
Joni
my
and Joni
sister,
and Maureen, and at the end is Linda, my cousin.
And at the bottom.
And at the bottom is Cheryl.
Santa.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
I didn't know she was in their wedding. I didn't either.
Go ahead, we're just commenting.
Just waiting
on
for the
them.
mumbling.
That's a great picture.
No, that's great.
That is a great picture.
Isn't that a great picture? Yeah.
Go ahead, we can just send you a copy of this if you want.
See, there's Jeffrey and Cheryl. And we did get married. And that's the wedding party.
That's Bob Carlson?
Bob Carlson, yeah.
We did.
And this is our family, and this is Dennis's family now.
Yeah, pause there. That's a good shot, Jerry.
This is us leaving from church to go up to the Harewood Inn for our reception.
Was that at St. Luke's?
Yes.
By the way,
Keep
while
it
there's a
going.
pause, did you in fact pay your dad back the $600 that he lent you for the engagement ring?
No,
Oh, I remember it well. I remember him paying him back. I remember earning the money in my first teaching job.
This is off script for this.
Is this the one that's on?
we did have a great wedding though.
How many?
Oh, there were 600 people at the wedding.
Becky,
Yeah.
Karen, do you see yourselves?
Karen.
Oh, I do.
Mardell, my kids met Mardell at the Swedish Fest.
Which one's
And a bunch of
Mardell?
folks from high school and
one's Mardell?
from college.
Yeah.
Rockman.
No,
Oh, she's at the end here. I'm sorry. Right above.
Yep, yeah, I see her. In
Winnie.
the purple gray.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Mardell's was right behind Winnie.
Mark, go back to.
Oh my God. Yeah, now
This is a tough crowd, Mark.
we haven't seen, definitely haven't seen this.
That's Mardell, right behind the girl in the purple dress.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Winifred. Yep. And Becky's right in the center, and Karen's right next to Mardell.
But where is this Harewood Inn?
Harewood Inn was up near Sunset Bay, right on the lake.
Yeah,
And that's where we had our reception. It was an inn that my mom and dad owned with my aunt and uncle. And we used it for
I
that.
sort of remember that, but I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah,
And right next to Karen. Is that right?
yeah, right next to Karen.
Right next to
Karen's
Linda.
right here.
Here, there's the little arrow pointing at
There's
her.
Mardell.
There, Mark.
Right,
That's
right,
it.
right.
Oh, that's Karen.
Look at her eyes are closed.
Yeah.
In the wedding.
Yeah, she was.
All right, we good?
And Liz Scarlett is over on this side, and that's one of Michael's godparents.
Right here, this one?
No, the one in the white dress
This one?
holding the
young
bouquet.
one. The young one.
Yeah, yeah,
The young,
yeah.
really pretty one.
Yeah, Liz.
One of their godparents.
That's Becky.
Yeah.
That one's
That's
Becky.
Becky. Yeah, that's Becky.
Chubby little kid.
Whose shoe is that?
Some kid, probably Michael Goodell that we're going to see in just a minute. He was one of the few little ones around.
What's it in?
Throwing the bouquet, throwing the garter.
Who caught the garter?
Don't remember. These are two of the Goodell boys. Michael is the little one, and he was our officially first godson. I inherited him. but-
Yep.
Yep.
And that's Bill Goodell.
Billy, who's now in charge of the NFL?
No.
No,
That's Roger.
that's Roger, sorry. Got him wrong.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise anybody, does it?
Oh, look at
Look
that.
at that, man. That's people at the reception. See Aunt Sigrid?
Yeah, my God.
Karen, do you see Aunt Sigrid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Were there really 600?
Esther,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Esther.
Is that Esther? Yes, Aunt Esther, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Esther is in a white hat.
Yeah, in the white hat, I'm sorry, yes.
You mean this one next to this one in the white
Yeah,
hat?
this is the white hat, Aunt Esther.
Oh, I'm probably somewhere.
600 people.
Felt so badly she
We can play this again afterwards. Just, all right, so here we go.
There's Terry putting the moves already. With his good friend Steve. That's Steve Taylor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Terry's best friend, Eddie Franks.
Eddie Frank.
Yeah, Eddie Franks, Terry.
Love the plaid
You
jacket.
saw Terry's mother at the Jackson ceremony.
Oh, really? Beautiful wedding cake, wasn't it?
Oh.
And I didn't smash it in his face.
Oh, that's
Whoa! Sorry, kids.
There's Terry down at the bottom there. Okay, so that's us leaving the reception. We got in this, I had that beautiful going away suit in our car.
Good.
No,
Sorry, I
okay.
went too far.
You did go too far. That's
I
okay.
thought it was gonna.
So this is your wedding night?
Yeah, this
For the
is,
grandmas, I love it. This is
Yeah.
terrific.
This is us getting ready to leave. And Uncle Ed drove the tractor in front of us so we couldn't make a getaway. And
let cars just
so they
line up.
had decorated the car and filled it with stuff. And then across the front of it, they had a quote from the wedding service. It said, "Remember what the bishop said, do not enter in too lightly."
TMI.
Too much information, and I certainly don't remember that sign at all. What I do remember is that we finally got rid of all those cars honking and beeping and everything, and we got as far as the Howard Johnson's in Erie, Pennsylvania, before we stopped for the night. Mind you, we got married on a Sunday, and by Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., I needed to be on my first job.
In Minnesota.
In Minneapolis, but we stopped in Erie anyhow. And I had bought all these wonderful new things, as we all do on our honeymoons, right? But one of them was all this wonderful dusting powder, and new scents, and bubble bath. I used it all. He had an allergic reaction. Coughed and sneezed all night long.
We don't want to go into detail, let's just say, the evening in the field at Bust-I worked out better.
And actually, our honeymoon wasn't for another 25 years because I said I went right to work. And I always wanted to go to Williamsburg, Virginia, so we finally went to Williamsburg, Virginia. And then Dennis decided that that wasn't adequate after having waited for 25 years, so we went to England too. It was pretty tough.
Well, those wedding pictures are a pretty good sign of the folks who got us on the marriage
Wait,
go-round.
you
Wait,
just skipped ahead.
You skipped ahead, dear.
Oh.
We need the picture of the moms
Yeah, but you
because,
said then a week later we had to put our clothes on around the.
yeah, you gotta, oh, that was me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so then a week later, we're really good at this, aren't we? Then a week later, we had to finally put our clothes on around the apartment because the mothers came out with all our wedding gifts. This was our first rented apartment. It was one bedroom, so the moms slept on the couch and the sofa. And I wasn't going to tell this story, and Dennis is going to give me, it's going to run too long, but that's okay. My mom and dad rarely turned off lights. So we're all playing cards one night, and my mother goes in the bathroom, and she comes out, and the light's still on, and Dennis says, "Turn off the light." So Mom goes back, she turns off the light, she's very obedient. And then another hour or two goes by, she has to go to the bathroom, she goes to the bathroom, she comes out, and she says, "I never turned on the light this time."
All right.
Well, you all got us on the marriage go-round, and it's great. And that's why we've got you all here tonight, because you got it started. And, well, I don't want to get preachy.
Dennis, please, no sermons tonight, just the facts.
But Greg, the fact is he preaches all the time, long before he became a priest. Our early years were about four things. Listening to him go on and on and on, working our jobs, making babies, and me beating him in Monopoly and card games every day. I really remember that well.
Remind me of the part about you winning.
You have been the worst loser anybody ever knows. Oh, man, yeah, true. But Bonnie and John, he's the worst winner we've ever known. Say amen. All right.
Somebody at church last week heard that I was coming out to do this anniversary celebration. They asked me, what does it take to stay married for 50 years? I said, well, don't get divorced after 49 and turn all your competition and conflict into daily games. And never play a game that doesn't have some luck in it. Because if you play things like chess, you could actually have a winner and a loser. Whereas if I happen to lose,
Yeah, right.
as I did in our morning games today, I can still feel like a winner. Ooh, because I've got you.
So,
We've played games every day of our lives, our married lives. We have our morning games, our afternoon games, every day. Traveling, games come with us. And I'm way ahead.
No.
in the sport.
Once, I was so far ahead in gin in points that he went out and bought a card shuffler, hoping that would change. It didn't.
enough. So, you went to work. Lynn teaching and accounting, Denis studying and then teaching at the University of Minnesota. American Studies Department, right?
Right?
So, in your spare time, you're making babies.
Oh, I remember it well. There's Matthew. I mean, Michael. There's Michael. That's Michael. There's Jimmy. Now, why is Jimmy in the Jimmy is Michael's godfather. And this is Mark's adoption picture. This is the one we picked him out from and fell in love with instantly. And that's Matthew.
That's Michael.
No, that's Matthew. Now, why are these folks in this picture?
Because if it weren't for the Rapples, we wouldn't be married.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had Matthew. That's what he was supposed to tell you about. Because I was so sick when I was pregnant with Matthew. I could not stand the smell of cooking meat. And Bonnie lived next door in these what were called railroad apartments. And she cooked all the meat for our family for the whole time I was sick. And would bring it over already cooked so I didn't have to smell it. And see, I told you, Nate. I told you, Nate, you were Nate. Nate and Nate. Yep.
So, what was it like?
Forget it, JJ. Okay.
So, Denis, what was it like being a father?
Oh, I loved it. I was a good father. I was a good father. I was a good father. Lynn worked, and so I would take care of them during the day. And then she'd come home.
And I remember coming home and finding poop in their diapers.
And they did that just as you were coming up the stairs.
Wrong. It was dry, hard, and hours old. I remember it well.
Fortunately, by the time they were in junior high, they could all wipe themselves. That was cool.
Okay, so some more pictures. There's Mark and Matthew. Brigitta and Matthew and Mark and Michael. That's Matthew. You notice how much those two look alike as babies. That's Matthew. There's Michael when he was sick in the hospital, and the nurse, when I was checking in, told me he would be dead by morning. It was terrible. And I love this picture from a vacation. Stop.
There we go.
Okay.
That's where it was.
Okay, we're going too fast. This is me. We're going too fast. We need to get Denis ordained, so that's what we're doing here. Remember how you suddenly changed our lives?
Yeah, I do.
And?
I don't remember.
And
Okay, start page 7.
page 7, baby.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah, that's a good lead.
and I didn't get to go to seminary because of you.
What?
I went into the
Hey.
Bishop Nary, who was then in, we knew from Buffalo. And I went in and told him that I thought I'd like to follow Dad's footsteps. I was 31 or 32. And he said, oh, your dad would be so proud of me, of you. And I said, can I go to seminary in New York where Dad went? And he said, no, you won't be going to seminary. And I said, why not? He said, well, you don't want to leave Lynn and the kids. And I said, well, wouldn't they come with me? And he said, no, Lynn's not leaving the diocese. She worked for him. So he said, no, you'll just read for holy orders. And so I've done it now for 40 years. I don't know a thing. But I keep thinking.
But you have good instincts is what one
I
of your
do.
examining chaplains told him. But I have to tell you about Mother. Now remember, we're all Baptists. And this is an Episcopalian priest. So I call Mother and I am happy. I mean, I really thought he was going to be a minister long before he did. And I am just so excited. So I tell Mom, Mom, Dennis is going to be a priest. Dead silence. Long pause, and she says, what's he going to do with you and the kids? The only picture in her mind is Roman Catholic priest, not married. Obviously, he's going to get rid of us. So then she essentially hangs up after I say, no, Episcopal Mother. 5 minutes later, my mild-mannered mother that I never heard raise her voice when we were growing up, did you, Tanya? No. Is screaming at me on the phone. She called me back, and she is just screaming at me. You are not going to make PKs out of my grandchildren. That is the worst thing you can possibly do, and I will not allow it. I said, Mom, it's different now. Mom, it's different now. Well, you have to promise me they don't have to go to church if they don't want to go to church, and they certainly don't have to go to Wednesday night prayer meetings if they don't want to go to Wednesday night prayer. And she just went on with this whole, okay, Mom, okay. And then she was all right.
Let's hurry along.
There you go.
Skip the next story.
No,
Yes.
no, I'm not skipping the next story.
You have a story about Matthew?
Yes, it's coming up, but first we have to see
You just
this.
told the story.
No,
Not about Matthew.
Yeah.
This is at the ordination. That's
Yeah.
Matthew right there.
There's
That's
Matthew.
JJ, Brigetta, Mark, your friend,
Well, that's Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson, yeah.
And
Okay,
then-
go fast because I got
I
another
think
story.
that's
ordination
Christian
story.
Johnson over there.
Okay, keep going. We get to the picture of Grandpa and Dad. Okay, there's where you said. Okay, so there, Dennis gets ordained, and the first thing he does is come back to Jamestown to spend 6 months, his dad's last 6 months in ministry, Dennis's first 6 months in ministry, to learn from his dad. But my kids are now, a couple of them in school, so I stayed back. And about every 6 weeks or so, because he was gone for 6 months, Dennis would come back into town. John was like the set-in, you know, it was Uncle John, but he was the dad.
What?
Yeah, he was the dad. He took good care of us. So
Conjugal and everything?
they come, he comes back, we pick him up at the airport. Matthew's the only one not in school, he's in the car seat, in the back seat, and I'm, look who's here! Who's here, Matthew? Who's here? Matthew kind of looks at the rear view mirror and sees this guy in the driver's seat and he goes, Uncle Denny!
Okay. So, beautiful. So Dennis is priested, and now the boys have to grow up as PKs. Always the most misbehaved kids in a church.
Yeah, but our kids didn't have to be PKs to be misbehaved.
No, not at all, never.
That came naturally.
Although Michael once told Mark that he had to stop crawling around under the altar because that was God's table in the middle of the church service.
Let's see some pictures of the
I was
kids.
looking
Growing.
for Jesus scraps.
You for Jesus Christ. Michael making peanut butter cookies. We We always did gingerbread houses.
Yep.
That's Michael, still. Michael and Mark. Matthew and Michael. All three of them. This is what we spent most of our vacations doing, camping. And the Boundary Waters is still my favorite place in the world. It's in northern Minnesota. You can see eagles, smoke from the tent. That's the one of our favorite camping spots.
Is this where we're supposed to pause?
I don't know. Sounds good.
Pause on a glacier trip. Is this
No, this is not the glacier trip.
Oh, it's in
This is Mark.
That's the glacier trip. No, that's not it.
No, keep going, baby. I'll signal you. Wasn't he wonderful? He still is. I shouldn't say it that way. His gingerbread house that particular year. Grandpa O'Prey in the background.
Pictures of him.
Okay, this is where you pause, Mark. Okay.
See, we totally skipped 3 pauses then.
That's all right.
They're
All right,
not in
it's
there.
okay. All right, they're not in there anymore. Okay, so this is our dog Snowy and Mark, who was in junior high, but in ROTC. And, or high school, I don't know.
That was high school.
Getting these kids to walk this dog, you know what it's like. No, never did it. Suddenly, for about a week, he runs home from school, grabs Snowy, runs out the door. He's gone for half hour, 45 minutes walking the dog. I finally said, Mark, what has you so interested in walking the dog all of a sudden? And Mark gets this very silly grin that you don't see very often, but when you see it, it's just marvelous. And he says, they're filming a movie down on the corner, and it's about a whorehouse, and all the ladies come out and they bend down and pet Snowy, and you can see everything.
Can we ask follow-up questions now?
No, later.
Hey,
Keep going.
the one redeeming thing is that Richard Pryor was there. He's filming JoJo Dance of Your Life was calling, and he came and said hello to my dog as well.
Okay. Hit the go button.
Oh, come on.
It's his moment.
There's Matthew.
I was always the good looking one.
Matthew and Mark. Okay, this is our glacier trip. And we got on a train in Minneapolis, went to Glacier National Park.
That sucks, Mark.
And,
No,
yeah, and we had a family car at the back of the train. There's only one, but it sleeps 5. It was just perfect for us for the cross-country trip. Until the, what do you call the guy on the train?
The porter.
The porter comes back and he says, you really gotta keep those kids from running through the whole train. But, so we're hiking from the train station into Glacier. Go, Mark. Everything we want for this trip on our backs.
Wow.
This was the rapture.
This is good comment.
Very good.
Mommy, Tanya? Oh, this is a pause too. Okay. This is Uncle Terry and Michael.
How did you know
Not that one. Okay. This is Michael. Now, Matthew went to a really hard grade school when we moved to California. Kids were totally out of control. So we put him in a private, wear uniforms, stand up every time a teacher walks into a room for junior high. Real uptight school. And Michael comes to pick him up from junior high dressed like a girl. Poor Matthew has always
On a
had
scooter. Yeah.
with a
scooter. Yeah, with a skirt on a scooter. And poor Matthew has had to put up with this his whole life. Okay, now you can. Oh, Mark was in the hospital for 2 months?
Wow.
3 months?
2 and a
I never
half.
can. 2.5 months. They were riding that same scooter. I went Christmas shopping and they were supposed to go to youth group at church. I came back from Christmas shopping. Dennis was sitting there waiting for me to tell me that the two had been hit before they got to church. A guy had run a stop sign, threw them across 3 lanes of traffic. Michael walked off with just barely a scratch. Mark was in the hospital in traction for 3 months, almost 3
Wow.
months, and then homeschooled for months after that as his leg healed.
Look how happy I am.
You're right, a lot of these are out of order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy.
that's what happened, that's what happened.
Oh, I know this picture.
Michael or Mark? I mean, Michael or Matthew?
That was Matthew.
There's our dog in front of our California house. This was our beach house. See, they are growing. See, they did grow up, slowly but surely. Daddy? I love this picture.
Nice glasses, guys.
Oh, this is like the movie star there.
Gotta stop for just a minute on this. This was the second sort of formal family portrait we ever had taken. And the photographer must have taken 30 shots, mixed us up in different combinations. When we asked the two grandparents, my dad and Elsie, which pictures they liked, they each eliminated any picture in which they were not standing next to their own child. Just automatically gone.
Your brother was so handsome. Look at him right now.
Now, I said they grew up, but this is Michael. Michael has never grown up. He hangs from things. You can keep it going, honey. He hangs from things. He rides canoes on cars. He pretends to be a voyageur when we go camping, but then they brought wonderful women into our lives. That's Emily and Michael.
Yeah.
The 4 of them. Okay, this is the big long pause. Okay, so I've been telling you about poor Matthew. And a couple of you have mixed them up tonight. And it happened all the time to poor Matthew. So we get Matthew in junior high, and he's picking him up in girls' clothes. So finally, Michael graduates from high school, and Matthew moves on to high school. The whole first week of high school, people come up to Matthew and say, "Thought you graduated. What are you doing back in high school?" And then Matthew finally graduates from college. And Michael, of course, came to the graduation. It was a pink napkin at that point at graduation. He ties it around his head, and he runs all over Matthew's very small college campus, screaming, "I got summa cum laude! I got summa cum laude!" And all the parents are going, "Who is that kid? What is wrong with him?" And the kids the kids in Matthew's college said, "I don't know, Matthew's always been a really calm kid. I don't know why he's doing that." It was Michael. Poor Matthew.
All right, you ready?
Yes, now I'm
Okay.
ready.
No, that's it. I'm getting beverage. Anybody
This
else
is
want a
Mark.
beverage?
I don't know, but we may be at where I speak again.
Yes, we are, I
Cue
think.
you. So you added a little beauty to the garden. Nice work. What did that get you?
Well, it got us 3 spectacular grandchildren.
That was my line.
Okay.
We 3 spectacular grandchildren.
We can agree to that. Though I think it's probably hard for the girls to realize they're never going to rival their mothers in beauty. And they're never going to equal their grandparents in the smarts department.
Why do you always tease them so much?
Because I'm jealous. I mean, they're smart, they're talented, they're popular, they're good looking. All the things I wasn't in high school. I was a sex magnet, that's all.
I don't remember that.
If in fact you hadn't come along and called me out of my terminal shyness, I'd still be all alone, rejecting offers from beautiful women like Karen Reagan.
Dennis, let's change the subject. Show us some pictures of these kids who make you so jealous.
That's Michael getting married with Emily. Brothers. Do you recognize Lyle, Sarah? Did you see Sarah, Tanya? Yeah. We'll show you it later, honey. Jessica.
Nice hair.
This is at Jessica's graduation, and Tanya came with me. This is her with her AFS brother and his wedding. Matthew's wedding, yeah. And Jimmy, always present. Jimmy did all the flowers for Jessica's wedding.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Oh, love to do it.
Okay, got to the grandchildren. We skipped something along the way here. I love that picture.
Let's see a picture of that.
Oh yeah, here come the babies. There's Grace.
Really?
That's a baptismal gown I made for Michael. There's Claire. That's Claire. Ezra.
Oh, Claire and Grace.
Claire and Grace.
And me and my nook.
That was at our pool in California.
That's right. So fast. Oh, I have this photo.
Grace says, "Oh, touch his hair."
Oh.
The three of them. With her Uncle Michael. They also grew up, unfortunately. Oh, I love them.
Oh.
That's a more normal picture. And there's Claire, who did not want to be at the state fair. This is with Carol's. There's Chance, that's Chance.
Oh, look at my fat baby.
Even the grandkids are good canoeists. And sailors.
Oh my goodness.
In, through the ice. This is one of her graduation photos. There's Claire. That's our house in California. I love that photo.
Looks like Lynette.
We're still doing gingerbread houses. Legoland.
Okay, that's
In Minneapolis.
She looks like she's missing.
That's her in her band uniform. And this shows Ezra in the carrier.
You're huge, buddy.
Still the same way, just those eyes.
I love this one. He was always eating fruit. Always had fruit in his hands.
Oh, we still have the dishes from that party.
Now, this requires a little explanation. For years, Dennis has been putting up with his birthday present, Christmas present, doesn't matter. It's on back order. They finally gave him a picture that said it's on back order. Keep going, Denny. Jess's graduation from library master's degree. Now this one is the one that made me cry last November. They were all in town for my birthday, and without telling me, they went and took a picture of themselves. It's huge. It's,
I took the picture.
You took the picture. Okay, you took the picture. But it is.
Yeah, it's
it
a
is-
selfie.
It is every one of them exactly at their best, which is almost impossible to get. And I hung it up in our living room, which mostly has artwork, and this one big picture of my boys.
Yeah, well, she took down the picture of Paul Revere and put this up in its place. I miss Paul.
Now, listen, you pretty well, you had your kids launched, so other than continuing to spoil them rotten, what's your agenda for the rest of the journey?
Great-grandchildren? Sooner rather than later?
You're offering a bounty, is that right?
Yeah, Dennis is offering a bounty.
What about you, Dennis? I understand you're retiring
I'm going to
again.
retire again at the end of the year. I'm going to do a little reading, a little writing, a lot of gardening. But mostly I'm thinking about spending more time not only with the brats and their offspring, but with a lot of the good friends who are here tonight. And just sort of continuing to grow old with these nice people. They brought us to this point, and it's sort of sweet.
Mom and Dad, the Rapples, with Nate, Tanya and Ted, Nan, who isn't here tonight, Terry's wife,
Randy.
Sue.
Hey, Sue.
This is Carol and I on our Midwestern trip where everything is big. So we got our pictures taken. Karen and Mike. Sally and Nan at one of their kids' weddings. These are the friends who were going to be here from California but couldn't come. Gladys.
Nice picture.
Guess who that is? Greg, you're supposed to comment.
Yes.
This is the 4-generation picture that I love so much. These are our 2 adopted godsons. We met them too late to be their godparents, but we still do all the godparenting things. Terry's wedding, pink suit.
Well done.
Terry.
Dad, are you wearing cowboy boots with your...
Yep,
Yep, cowboy
Okay.
boots, yep.
Just checking.
the cord suit, cowboy boots.
These are, again, other couple who couldn't make it. Susan Buell also couldn't make it because of the rain. Tanya and I.
Grandma couldn't make it because she's dead.
Brigitta and her kids, including Zach.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I know this.
Susan Buell again.
She
Ubiquitous Jimmy. Tanya and Ted, when we were all in Florida together, we did a lot of cousins trips, didn't we, Gladys?
Oh, did we ever?
We're in Turkey together, in a museum. Okay, now we're in Florida, and we were in a condo that one of your
That's not
boys...
Florida, I hate to tell you.
Where was it?
That's in, isn't that the Edisto Beach? 'Cause I'm there.
Yeah, it's wherever we had that condo.
Yeah,
Okay, it
Edisto
wasn't.
Beach, yeah.
So we went to the place's dinner one night, and
You are my sunshine.
Yeah.
do you remember?
My only
We took over karaoke, and we did it.
That's Florida.
This is Florida in Ted's boat. The time we got lost at sea.
How much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Lyle and Greg.
That's beautiful.
Is that the camp?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, Paul.
Yeah.
Israel.
How could we ever forget that, Carol?
Remember Sally? Carol and Ian? Bonnie and John and I? Johnny Mathis again.
Just let it play.
No, he's telling me, I think.
Chances are, 'cause I wear a silly grin the moment you come into view. Chances are you think that I'm in love with you. Just because my composure sort of slips the moment that your lips meet mine. Chances are you think my heart's your Valentine. In the magic of moonlight, when I sigh, hold me close, dear. Chances are you believe the stars that fill the skies are in my eyes. Guess you feel you'll always be the one and only one for me. And if you think you could, well, chances are your chances are awfully good.
and their kids had an artist come in. This was my mom and dad's wedding.
Which they had 50 of.
Well, if you keep it moving, for which they had a 50th wedding anniversary at Jeff's
We
wedding.
met at 9.
We met at 8.
That's it.
Time.
That is it. Now,
Yes.
when it
I
finishes,
remember
you can just turn it up.
well.
Okay.
We dined with friends.
We dined at 8.
Very good.
At my mom and dad's, at my mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary, I wrote a poem for them, which my children read to them at that anniversary. And my grandchildren have agreed to read it to us tonight so that it can become a family tradition. Because the second time around makes a tradition. Okay.
50 years. Now that's a long time.
We didn't giggle. There's no giggling in that poem.
You can do this, dear.
Well, we in 50 years have lived lives that leave such imprint, we can but pray.
Will we in 50 years have shared the joys you have? We can but hope.
Will we in 50 years be as loved as we love you? We can, but love and hope and pray.
Thank you. Now,
Dessert, coffee.
Okay.
Restrooms?
restrooms, more drinks, there's more wine, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Lots of wine,
Nice job. A lot of work. I know this is a lot of work.
Thank you for humoring us through.
That was fun.
We had fun.
Yeah.
We had fun. Come have dessert.
Ah,
No, we didn't.
What is what?
That was
Yeah, it was a cute idea.